Welcome back to Close Up. Heading over to the 1st District now, Republican Chris Bright is up against better funded and more well-known primary opponents, but he still sees a path to the nomination. Mr. Bright is our guest this morning. Thanks for being here, Chris.
Thanks, Adam.
Appreciate the time. Right now, based on median income in New Hampshire, single moms are paying 61% of their income just to keep 2 kids in daycare. That's based on data from the New Hampshire Fiscal Policy Institute. And it seems like that's totally nuts. That, a woman can't get ahead, her kids are going to have less opportunity. So if you're in Congress, what are you going to do to fix that problem?
Yeah, I mean, that's an issue just across all the middle class. I mean, inflation doesn't help. The housing crisis doesn't help. And then you overlay on top of that just what people are paying for childcare. So it's tough. It's tough to be a middle class working American these days. And families are making the choice whether or not they can either work and save the money from childcare or put their kids in. And I went through that. There's different things you could do with respect to kind of bringing relief. Tax credits are certainly something that helps. But overall, just the overall inflation and economy needs to improve, because tax credits help, but they help at the end of the year. What we need to also do, and just give these folks relief, is to work on federal spending and to work on things that are going to impact an economy so Americans just have overall more money in their pockets.
So if you cut spending in Congress, when do Americans see the inflationary relief?
Well, I mean, that's a good point. It's not immediate, and we've gotten ourselves into a mess. So, I mean, these types of things take months, if not years, to kind of catch up. But it has to start somewhere, right? It has to start with being fiscally responsible, looking at the different things we're spending money on, the different policies that we're putting in place that have this kind of trickle-down effect that got us into the mess we're in today.
The prisoner swap with Russia that was big in the news this last week. When America negotiates like that, do you worry that it is incentivizing other adversaries, other countries, to imprison Americans and hold them for ransom, essentially?
How can you not? I mean, it's a tough one, because you see Americans imprisoned unjustly overseas. And it breaks your heart. You know they have families. You can just empathize with what that must be like. But then you have to kind of play that out and look at the geopolitical effects. And again, that stems from just our overall leadership that's sitting in the White House. When you have strong leaders and this country's unified and we're not at each other's throats, and we can project kind of confidence and unity, these things do kind of taper down and keep from happening. So when we start to do things like, okay, now we're going to, crisscross around Europe, around Asia, and try to, find ways to, to bundle enough hostages to get our people released, I think it's a bad look. And I do think it does set a dangerous precedent. But, in this particular context, I wasn't there. I have no idea what was going on behind the scenes. I'm glad to know that the American government did work so hard to bring home Americans. But we always need to think about what are the long-term effects of that type of policy.
You mentioned unity, and, for better or worse, you keep getting some fire over comments you made back in December on this program that you're not necessarily a 100% supporter of Donald Trump. And you said, answer to that question, you say you're your own guy, you're running your own campaign.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, do you see it as a long-term problem for American politics, that the idea of having independent thought is a problem not just in the Republican Party, but in the Democratic Party as well?
I just had this conversation yesterday with my kids about, being able to think for yourself. Any society that just becomes lazy in its thinking and its inability to challenge its leaders or to challenge the process is on a dangerous path. And so, I mean, I'm supporting Donald Trump now. I mean, I think he's head and shoulders the best candidate in the race. But I don't subscribe to like fanboy politics. And I think, to run a race simply on your support for one person, I think that's short-sighted. You need to be able to bring policy and change and implement and effect that kind of change back here in the Granite State. I mean, Donald Trump had great policies. And under his presidency, I mean, the economy was in a better shape, our borders were closed, and then that all kind of just went away. But he's got an entire country to fix, and we need a representative that's going to be able to stand up and be a leader, not here only in District 1, but across all of the Granite State and across all of New England, because there are no Republican representatives outside of Susan Collins across all of New England. So it's going to take a strong leader that's not just about hitching and following Donald Trump's lead, but about who is going to align with the president, bring good policy forward that is going to impact change for Granite Staters here in America. And as long as those policies that President Trump is putting forward align with the interests of the folks in District 1, align with the folks of Granite State, I'm all for that. If there start to become issues that maybe infringe on our own prosperity here in the state, that's when I'll have the, kind of the courage to stand up and say, can we take a second look at this?
It was one of your opponents, Holly Novoletsky, who was attacking you on this 100% comment. You asked her an interesting question in the recent debate about her donations to Democrats, and she said as a business person that she engaged in, quote, pay to play. Those are her words.
Yeah.
Do you have a problem with the way she phrased that?
Oh, to me, that's the swamp. To me, that's the swamp where it's, you're not necessarily, like she's claiming she's not a politician, but funding money and writing checks on both sides of the aisle, to me, that's not based on principle. I would have had a better time or an easier, I thought that answer would have been a little bit easier if she said something to the effect like, look, he was a friend, I've known him my entire life. But to say I pay to play as a business owner that fairly competes, as other Americans out there that don't get those types of handouts, that's an unfair playing field. And that's exactly the type of swamp that when President Trump talks about draining, it's that type of action that he means. So I did have a really hard time with that. I was shocked that that was her answer. And it's absolutely something that I would work to get out of American politics, and I think it's why people don't trust politicians.
We talked about child care. What about health care? Obviously, this has been a top issue for Republicans, gone a bit to the back burner lately, but what are you going to do to change the high cost of health care down in Washington?
Regulation is a big part of that. So every time you start to regulate these businesses, and I think government's role in instances like this is to be the referee, to make sure that Americans are safe, to make sure that companies are playing fairly. But with that said, overregulation starts to create, within those companies, now they have to hire more people to oversee that or make sure that they're in compliance. All of that drives the price up. You also have to look at kind of supply and demand and make sure that manufacturing capabilities are there. So when Congress comes in and takes away certain tax cuts on like CapEx expenditures or whatever that looks like, and now those companies can't write off certain charges, that overall makes the product that they're making more expensive. So regulation, that supply and demand, relooking how insurance compensates that stuff, relooking fraud. There's a lot of different buckets that you could start to dive into, realize that there's inefficiencies across the entire system, and then systematically go about starting to change that.
All right, Chris Bright, thanks for your time on Close Up. We'll see you out there on the campaign trail.
Thanks, Adam. Take care.
And after the break, we'll return to the 2nd Congressional District with Lily Tang Williams. Stay with us.